Yep. Hello, hello.
What's up? What's up?
Hey. Doc's coming right now.
Okay, cool.
I finally have your game.
Wow, what's going on? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Just optional there.
Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Like the hat. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. First question is gonna come from Cameron.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. I want to know, you obviously have the highest scoring duel coming off the bench in Montrez and Lou Williams. But will you talk about the combination, the duel of Patrick Beverley and Marcus Morris and kind of the intensity that they bring to your squad?
Yeah, I mean, they've just been great overall. You know, I knew Pat was obviously coming into the year. I really didn't know who Marcus was. You know, didn't know we were going to have him. Then when we got him, I really didn't know what he was going to bring. I knew he was going to bring, you know, great offense. I didn't see the intensity, the defense, the intelligence that he plays with. He's been such a glue guy for our team. It's been absolutely amazing.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Tomer.
Hey, Doc, this isn't really related to the series, but I was curious, going back to last week, you mentioned that, you know, I know that Chris Paul didn't leave the Clippers on, you know, very amicable, but you mentioned that you and him were talking and he urged you to speak at the meeting. Just what's your relationship like after, you know, the last couple of years and everything that's going on right now?
Our relationship is great. I mean, we put that behind us a year ago, at least. We golfed a bunch this summer before the season started. You know, we cleaned the air long ago. So that happens from coach player a lot, you know. Usually when a guy leaves a company in business, most of the time it's not on great terms, even if they're just going to another opportunity. But usually you come back to that company and say thank you and appreciate all the things you've done. And I think that was CPN in our case, you know. And so that's old news with us, you know. And then in this whole thing, he just used me as a sounding board, and I was glad that I could provide that for him. But him and Andre Iguodala, their leadership to me is what stood out.
Okay, we're gonna go to Orlando. Rebecca Harlow.
Yeah, Doc. One thing that Pat Beverley said last night that I thought was really cool is that he said he loves that you allow him to be himself on this team. When you look at this roster that you've put together, there don't seem to be any gaps. It doesn't seem like, obviously you've had to work through the injuries, the ins and outs and all that, but aside from that, it doesn't seem like you're ever put in a position where you've got to play someone out of position, ask them to do something they can't do. What kind of luxury is it to have a team where everyone can be themselves?
Yeah, it's a luxury, but Rebecca, that's how you should coach everyone, no matter what team you have. You know, Lou, when I got Lou, I told Lou, I just want to make it clear when we're bringing you in the game, we're not bringing you in to be a defensive player. You know, we're bringing you in to score. And he started laughing. And I said, I'm being very honest here. Like, you are an offensive player, and be that. And then Pat, you are an instigator, be that. Like Marcus, when we got him, we told him, be who you are. And in that, you'll find the role that you should play for this team inside of who you are. And I think it's very important that guys do that. Because I want them to have a freedom inside their role, you know, and if you can't be yourself, I don't know who you can be. So, and honestly, I don't know if Pat could be anyone else anyway, you know, so it's been great.
We're going to go to Own.
Hey, Doc. You were saying the other day that as you go through this first postseason with Kawhi, you kind of learned to see some things like how good of a passer he is. Maybe that surprised you. What have you learned about his personality off the court? And have you ever had a leader who's been this quiet, and what is that like?
I guess Patrick Ewing was a little like that. You know, he was very open with his teammates, but with everybody else, Patrick, you were not getting in, period. And so I think that's the only similarities that I could draw. But they both are very similar in the fact that they work their butts off, and when they do talk, it's about doing the right stuff, like running the right play, executing. I mean, Kawhi is very demanding in particular in that, and so when he talks, I think it carries weight, because he doesn't talk a lot.
Okay, we're gonna move back to Orlando and go to Tanya.
I was interested in what you were talking about with how you have to just let guys be themselves. Have you always felt that way as a coach?
No, I think I learned that. Takes years, but I think I learned that as I went on. And the biggest lesson I think I learned my first year in Orlando, we had I think 45 transactions, maybe more. And each guy we got, you get calls from other coaches, man, bad guy, oh, you don't want this guy. And then you find out, no, he's not a bad guy, or vice versa. But you realize that you got to learn who each person is under you. And that doesn't mean that he's a good or bad person. That means he fits you. And so the only way to do that is by allowing him to be himself as much as he can, and not trying to change people, which most people don't change, and so you learn that.
Is there a player that sticks out in your mind that you tried that philosophy with and it worked very well for you in the past?
I don't know. I mean, I think that DJ would be a great player. DJ was a guy that had some trouble here in LA, and when we got the job, when I got the job, they were telling me, not a great guy and all that. And I found out he was the exact opposite. He's a sensational guy. He's enrolling right now in an Ivy League school. He just texted me this. He just needed a role. He just needed to be told actually who he was, and I think that made it clear to him, at that meeting we had, he was telling me about all these offensive things. And I said, are you crazy? I'm never going to you. And I actually told him that, and he started laughing. I said, why would I draw a play up for you? Like, honestly. I said, but you could score by doing your job. And he got that. Like, he got it immediately, and off went DJ. He ends up getting a max deal, and I was thrilled for him. So
We're going to move on.
I think he just got accepted to Brown, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
We're going to move on to Andrew.
Okay, going back to Kawhi, I mean, he's been so automatic from the mid-range all postseason. It's just not a shot, obviously, that's, you see a whole lot anymore between three-pointers and layups. And when you were going back to last summer, when you were kind of thinking of ways to scheme offensively for Kawhi, did you draw on past players you've coached to kind of ways to get him open in that spot?
A little bit. I think I drew more on him. I watched all his offensive sets from San Antonio to Toronto, and there's a lot of the same thing. And then, I did have a guy in Boston, Paul Pierce, who, does some of the stuff that he did. And so we do run some of that. Like we dusted off, as Ty Lue loves saying, man, you dusted off some of your old Boston stuff for Kawhi. Because I hadn't run some of the things that were running for him in 8 years, and now we're using it again because they do have some similarities.
Okay, we're going to go back into Orlando and go to Mark Medina.
I think you guys have been here for like a month and a half. What have been kind of the interesting interactions when you run into other teams at the hotel?
It's strange. I mean, it's really strange. It's just different, after the game or going to the game. Denver's getting on the bus, we're getting on the bus. After the game, you see them getting off, we're getting off, because now, before we wouldn't have that because the teams we play were in the hotel. Now we're in the same hotel playing a team that, I'm doing an interview and I'm seeing the Nuggets walk by, It's just really strange. I don't know what to say about it.
As the deeper you guys are getting in the playoffs and there's fewer teams, is there a feeling like you guys have more space now? And not everyone's on top of each other?
Not yet, but I think that's coming, hopefully. And it's funny, we're not on top of each other. I just think it's just abnormal to, like yesterday, the players from both teams were going up in the elevator together. I actually told our one guy, I don't know if that's even healthy. If it's a contentious game, it was like, I don't know if I need to see that. So anyway.
No fight?
Not yet.
Gonna move over to Miriam. Sorry.
Hey there, Doc. Last night, Pat was saying that he was impressed with how Trez sort of handled the last series, having to come in like he came in and hit the ground running, and how difficult that was. What did you see from Trez and how he handled all that?
I was more impressed that he accepted. We had decided early on that it was a tough matchup in that series for him. The way Luka went downhill, and we needed a big to be in drops and to be able, and only time we were going to use Trez more when we were in traps, which meant that his minutes were going to get cut almost in half. And he handled it. That tells you he's a good team player. Like, he understands, where in this series you can see we can use him a lot more. But I just was more impressed with his just his ability to buy into what we're doing. And even though buying in may mean that less him, he still took it. And I thought that was great for our team to see.
We're going to take a few more, have time for a few more. Next question is going to go to Farbot.
Hey, Doc, a lot of times in the NBA now, a team will win by, 40 points because they made 25 threes. But, yesterday you guys won by practically 30, only hitting 10 threes. How do you expect Denver to respond in a game like that where you were just so overwhelming from all different facets?
Well, I'm sure they'll try to keep us out of the paint more. I mean, we were in the paint a lot, so that will be the adjustment they'll make for sure.
Okay, we have time for one more. We're going to go to Sean Hiking.
Hey, Doc, this is kind of a random question for you. Right?
All right, I'm sorry.
We good? All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Doc, this is kind of a random question for you, but when you guys are preparing for a playoff series in practice, and you guys have kind of the scout team, how do you guys decide who plays certain who did you guys have play Luka in the last series on your scout team, and who do you guys have?
Good question. We don't really try to choose a guy that's like the guy. I don't want to ever want that guy thinking he is as good as that guy. So we just stop it. We just use 5 guys.
So you don't have it. You don't decide. Okay, this guy.
No. I remember years ago when playing for Pat Riley, when we were playing the Bulls, and Pat Riley decided he was going to use Bo Outlaw as Michael Jordan. And freaking Bo destroyed us in every practice. Then he started thinking he was Michael Jordan, which became an issue. So I always thought, if I'm ever a coach, I'm naming no guy as he's that guy. I don't want him thinking that way. We don't need any of our guys thinking they're Luka.
We have time for one more question. We'll go to Brian.
Doc, today, speaking of Knicks, today they officially announced they hired Woody as an assistant under.
Yeah.
One, were you surprised he didn't get another chance while he was here at all, based on how he did in New York? And just, I guess, if you can compare what it might be like working under you and now going under Thibodeau.
I think working under me would be a lot easier than working under Tibbs, would be my guess. No, I'm joking there. I hope everyone knows that. First of all, I'm thrilled for Woody. I'm also I'm just amazed at Woody. When you look at his record, that he didn't have a head coaching job already. But that it is what it is. He's going back to New York. He's very happy. I'm happy to see two of my assistants working together now. And I just love what Tips is doing in New York. I think they're going to be successful. And I can't wait for him to be that. That would be great.
All right, Doc. That's all I have for today.
All right.
Yes, sir.